So the whole purpose of me going to Aldi's is to show you the new gardening items, not to spend $86.64, but here we are. So let's go ahead, let's go into Aldi's. I want to share with you some of the things that they have for this gardening season. So as soon as I walked in, they had these heavy duty kink control hoses. These were 50 feet long and they are $19.99. Now they also have these 4-pack plant supports, which is great for trellising. Think about your tomatoes, your cucumbers, your vining plants, and those 4 packs were $3.99. They also had an assortment of garden tools, which I thought was a pretty good deal. They had the shovel, they had the hoe, and they had some other varieties, and those were $12.99. They had 2 types of soil in Aldi's. First is the garden soil, and it says that it was natural and organic, and it feeds up to 4 months, and it has some organic fertilizer in here. This is 1 cubic feet, and these were $3.99. And then over here for $4.99 you have your potting mix. Now this also had a controlled release fertilizer in here. I didn't see anything where it said natural or organic. It feeds up to 9 months. And so again, $4.99. Now, y'all, I had to get with this in order to show y'all. And y'all, if you have one of these, explain it to me. It's $39.99. I know people thought I was just out of my mind because I couldn't quite grasp what this was. So it says a metal planter with storage. Now this is what it said. But if you look at the picture, it's like they're storing things. So if it's a metal planter, where do you put your storage at? Or is it either or? Now, I am showing you the dimensions. And again, if you have something like this, please let me know. Y'all, I took this off the shelf. I like turned it over, turned it upside down because I'm like, do you use it as a metal planter or a shelf? But anyhow, they had some welcome mats, $6.99. They also had some garden boots in 3 different styles, and those were $12.99. And y'all saw that in my cart at the beginning because I am a size 10, and so when I see my size, I have to get my size because 10s go very quickly. So next we have these garden figurines for $4.99. They had different assortments. They had the frog, the mushroom, the bunny or the rabbit, and the bird. So these were the variations that they had for $4.99. And next they had these metal garden obelisks for $9.99, and the height is 68.11, which is about 5'8", so kind of tall, but those were $9.99. And then they had these like plastic lawn borders. So those were $9.99. They had them in green and black, and the total length is 118.11 inches. Now, to go with those plant supports, if you want to tie up some of the, not with the bigger one, with this one right here, if you want to tie up with the twine some of your tomatoes or plants that need to be trellising, the twine, not the rope, but you could use the rope for something else, but I probably would use the twine. More garden decor, the mini wind spinner right here. They had different variations like a ladybug, a flower. Those were $3.99. And then they had different varieties of the rain chain. Now I bought a rain chain last year. It wasn't this style, but we still have it up. You've probably seen it in a lot of videos, and I really like it. Like it's I will be honest, I don't hear a lot when it rains, but it's just some nice decor to just kind of hang up on the patio on the side of your house. They also had these birdhouses right here, y'all. I had to check the material because they looked it a little bit weird. So these are mushroom birdhouses. They are $7.99, and they had different colors. Now this is wood right here. That's why you see me knocking, but the top is like plastic. And then they had the ceramic animal planter, and I had to look in there because y'all know anytime you have a container, you need to make sure it's a drainage hole in there, and it was. But they had mushroom, frog, and this looks like a bee, I guess, for $3.99. They're small, and but you could still use it. Now this right here was the wooden raised bed planter, y'all. I thought that this was a good deal. They already have drainage holes, and then they have that piece of like fabric in there, and it says that it is made out of certified Chinese fur. You do have to assemble it. These are the dimensions that you see and the maximum load, because y'all know I tell you wet soil weighs a lot, so you got to be careful. But they are $39.99, and I thought that that was a good deal. Like, if you want to start gardening, that is a good deal to get started. And so this is how they look. Now y'all know when I first started, I started in something similar, and I put casters on there so that I could move them around. But yeah, pretty good deal for that. A great way to get started planting. And next they had these solar string lights, y'all. They had the multicolor, and then they had the warm white. And I had to do a double take because it said solar globe light, and they are solar. They really are. So this is one of the things that I bought because I really want to see how it works. With the solar light. I had no business buying this, but when we're on the patio, a little ambiance never hurt anyone. And then if you're having problems with predators, maybe even squirrels, things like that, honey, you need to get you a wiggle owl. Now, they are $9.99, but this is what I have to tell people because animals are very smart. You do have to move them around. Move them around so that they think they're real. And then the 4-pack solar path disc lights, which I probably need to re-up, but I'm not ready to do that right now. I'll come back to that later after I get everything planted. But the 4-pack, those were $12.99. And it looked like they had like a silver and a black. We can all use garden gloves. This is a 2-pack right here. Some of them were latex, and then some of them were nitrile. I hope I'm saying that right, but you got 2 packs, and you got them for $2.99. I'm forever going through gloves. And they had the 15-inch planter. They had like a gray and this bluish color. Those were $9.99. And then these were actually self-watering containers in green, in gray, and in like the terracotta color. And these were either $5.99 or $6.99, but it was a great price, especially if you want to start gardening in containers. And then it looks like this seems to be a big hit, y'all. The walk-in greenhouse, because a lot of them are gone off the shelves. They are $29.99, and it includes 6 shelves inside. Then they had the drop over greenhouse. So if you still have frost in your area, you have the raised beds, you can kind of put those on there. Those are $14.99 just to kind of protect them, or they can serve as a greenhouse to start seedlings in. And I had to do a double take because I'm like, okay, I just saw this. Why is this cheaper? So this is a 4-tier greenhouse. It's smaller. But these were $14.99. And so I was like, okay, wait a minute. Let me walk back. So this one is like a walk-in greenhouse that comes with like the shelves and everything. And so that was the difference. And then the wooden potting bench right here. This was also a good deal, $39.99. So you can pot up things, store tools. You can do your potting on there. And then they also have the different spray nozzles. So this is like an adjustable hole nozzle. And then they also have they call this like the fireman hose nozzle as well. I think those were the 2 different types that I did end up seeing for that. And these were $6.99. If you need another water nozzle, then there you have it. And then they have the garden pruners. These were $5.99. A lot of people were buying pruners as well because there were very few in here. And then this is like my go-to. I still use mine, y'all. This is like the pop-up garden bag. So instead of you walking back and forth for $6.99, you can get this, put your pruning in there, put your leaves, whatever, and then drag it all wherever you need to drag it at, okay? The seed starting pellets, I showed you that on another video, and they kind of went down maybe by like 50 cents. They also had the glass mister right here. This was actually the only one left, but the glass mister was $8.99, and then the pellets were $4.49. And then they had the spotlights, honey. Spotlight your garden. I have lights all over my garden. Those were $5.99. These are solar spotlights, and I'm just letting you see how big they are or the size of them. And then they also had the landscape fabric, honey, for these, I don't like to call them weeds, but for these plants that pop up and you don't want them there. It was $4.99 for that roll right there. So this was something else that I had to pick up and like really look at and say, what is this? Like, I didn't understand it until I turned it over and looked at the picture, and I said, oh, okay, I get it. So these are 2-pack cocoa plant supports. So those are $3.99. Okay, so as I was walking to the checkout, these were like kind of on an end cap. So these are urn planters right here, and they are $6.99. So I always tell myself, don't go in the store hungry because you pick up stuff, but don't go in the store during the garden season because you spend like $86.64. But be sure to hit that subscribe button because I'm going to share with you how I'm going to use these items in the garden. I can use everything in the cart, and I'll see you on the next video.